Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. My name is Diana Romanovska and I am a certified family law specialist practicing family law in the Bay Area, California. Today I would like to talk about experts and what type of experts do we use in divorce cases. So first of all, when people going through divorce, they have potentially retirement accounts, RSUs, SSRs, stock options, all kinds of assets that are to be divided based on a formula that I described in other videos, which is we take what's community from the date of marriage until the date of separation. Everything earned during this time period is considered and saved is considered community property. So any inheritance received is not community property. Any gifts received to the particular spouse, not to both spouses, is not community property. It's called separate property. It seems simple, right? We just take date of marriage, date of separation, divide everything in half. Why do we need an expert? Well, for example, if we have a pension, a simple 401k retirement plan, then, and you have been separated for 5 to 3 years, then we need to look at how much was there at the time of the date of separation, plus if it was invested, and I hope it was not in a checking account, then how much interest did community accrue, and then divided by half. So that turns out to be sometimes not so simple, especially after date of separation. Whatever the other spouse or spouses put into that retirement account is considered separate property. That money accrues also interest. So that's why we hire a third-party company who create Quadro, a qualified domestic relationship order, because some institutions refuse to divide retirement plans without a Quadro. And then if we start going into deferred benefit plans, military pensions, government pensions, so lawyers are good for the legal stuff, but then when it comes to specialization, it's almost like with doctors' brain surgery versus something else. It's a very specific animal. So that's why we hire third-party company that helps us to create those plans. Currently, the prices for one Quadro is approximately between, depending on the plan, $600 to $1,000. So that's retirement, number one. We have custody issues. I personally think that our legal profession is great, and we know the law and we know our case law, and we were taught to argue and resolve. But when custody issues are involving, of course, children, they're so delicate and so I would say it's not appropriate. I personally don't think it's appropriate to litigate a custody case, because the children will suffer the most from it. And what I suggest as a first suggestion to my clients, I recommend, if it's possible. Of course, the other parent might be completely unreasonable person and there is no other way to litigate. But in most cases, 98% of the cases, both parents are in major disagreements, but it's manageable. And so I refer them to co-parenting counselor, or we call it PPC, professional parenting coordinator. It's a professional, it's a therapist, psychologist, psychiatrist with PhD in child psychology and in custody disputes, who is helping parents to manage their differences. And then that person, once they set up a plan, we can convert it into a legal document and make it an order. That's why I really like to have for very, very specific issues, specific experts. So number 2, custody visitation, co-parenting counselor, or PPC if possible. Then, of course, we have the RSUs, SSARs, stock options. And then it gets into formulas, Nelson formula, how to calculate stock option, the vesting schedule, timeline rule, all of that. I, as a lawyer, like to delegate to forensic accountant, CPA, who creates a spreadsheet in a heartbeat, fast, efficient. And if I need, I can call this accountant as an expert. Because if I were to do it, which I wouldn't, but if I were to do it, then I would be testifying about my client's case while I'm representing my client. I cannot ask myself questions how I came to. So the whole idea to have an expert is also important, to be able to put that expert on the stand if trial is happening, which most likely in 99% of the cases is not happening, because an expert creates a schedule, the other expert on the other side creates their schedule, and they talk to each other, and then we come to an agreement. And California law is California law. There is not much to try to have a trial about, but there are cases with exceptions, as always. And finally, we have, imagine a case where both parties were married for 20 years, and then they're separated for 5 years, and then they decide to hire a lawyer, and then they spend their money each the way they wanted. They, let's say, earned equal amount of money, but then who's going to do the post-separation accounting? Why is it important? For example, if one spouse, let's say one spouse earns a little bit more, pays for the other spouse community property expense, for example, property tax on a house that the other spouse is using, and this is not just one expense. Let's say it's multiple expenses. Then we have Epstein credit, that the paying spouse with his separate property salary who paid for community property expense can get reimbursement, and it gets different ways. When community account is used for separate property expenses, when one spouse is taking community property and flies on a world trip, right? So post-separation accounting is also important, and that's why we hire forensic accountants. I think I covered the main points. There are many experts. There are child custody evaluators that can get involved if there is a huge move away case or very contested custody case. There are many experts that can get involved, but these are the basic semi-complicated cases where experts get involved. I hope that was helpful. If you liked the video, click like, subscribe, and I will see you soon. Bye.